Badlands. Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Mr. Vice President, I'm going off script again, I know, but I just want to personally thank you. We've been through some stuff. We've gone through some of the most complex military operations this country's ever conducted, and your steady hand and your leadership during those was a great source of strength for me. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your character. Thank you for your selfless service. Thank you for commitment. Thank you for being a mentor to me, Mr. Vice President.
It's called the swamp. And you know what happened? And you know what I did? A big favor. I caught the swamp. I caught them all. Let's see what happens. Nobody else could have done that but me. I caught all of this corruption that was going on, and nobody else could have done it. Did I get that one right? Every 4 years, we gather on these steps to carry out the orderly and peaceful transfer of power. Today's ceremony, however, has very special meaning, because today we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people. For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government, while the people have borne the cost. Washington flourished, but the people did not share in its wealth. This American carnage stops right here and stops right now. The forgotten men and women of our country will be forgotten no longer. From this day forward, a new vision will govern our land. From this day forward, it's going to be only America first.
This is a president of the United States who is a danger to the republic.
America first.
He knows he's an illegitimate president.
The oath of office I take today is an oath of allegiance to all Americans.
The great Trump recovery.
America will never be a socialist country. I will fight for you with every breath in my body.
Russia, Russian, pro-Russian, Russian, Russia, Russian, 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 the Russians. Russian.
Russia, Russia, Russia.
And I will never, ever let you down.
A dangerous virus is spreading rapidly in China, and U.S. officials are very worried that it could come here.
This is really the worst attack we've ever had. This is worse than Pearl Harbor. This is worse than the World Trade Center. There's never been an attack like this.
The time for empty talk is over. Now arrives the hour of action. What they're doing is using COVID to steal an election. Together, we will make America strong again. You know what it's about? Fraud, fake ballots. We will make America wealthy again. They are trying to steal the election.
Now, under the leadership of President Trump, we are fully realizing President Kennedy's prescient view of Special Operations Forces.
We will make America proud again. And watch, please, those mail-in ballots. We will make America safe again. And in millions and millions of ballots. Their vote is under what they thought they needed. They're dumping more ballots in there, okay? And yes, together, we will make America great again. Thank you. God bless you. If we are right about the fraud, Joe Biden can't be president.
Congress, the chair declares the joint session dissolved.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Saturday edition of the Devolution Power Hour. Hope you're all having a great week and great weekend so far. Chris, Patrick, how you two doing?
Happy as a clam, my friend. I am getting the Christmas spirit like you wouldn't even believe, especially with everybody buying all my serums up.
Did Cam place an order after last night?
I don't even know, but there are so many freaking orders. I can't keep up with them, and we have our work cut out for us over the next 48 hours to get them all out.
Gotcha. Chris, how are you?
I'm having myself a merry little Christmas.
It's not Christmas yet. You can't say that.
Well, the whole season is Christmas, really.
Yes,
that's
true.
The Christmas season. I guess you're right.
The Merry Little Christmas, by the way, is a dark-ass song if you read the lyrics. Yes.
Of course it is.
I would say it's somber. I think it's lovely. I think it's the most beautiful Christmas song, actually.
It may be your last.
Have you heard White Christmas by the
Does it say that in it, Patrick?
Yes. Yourself a merry little Christmas. It may be your last. It's freaking dark.
I've never noticed that.
They do that with all the songs. I gotta tell you guys, like I'm feeling just like thankful to be alive right now. The government like shut down for like 35 minutes yesterday or this morning, really, and
made it through.
I don't know how we all survived that. It was scary, but here we are.
I wish it had been longer. I thought it was going to be longer. Something was supposed to happen at Shutdown, according to Q. I need to check with Stormy Patriot Joe on that because he's always got good stuff.
Maybe instead of 10 days of darkness, he meant 35 minutes of darkness.
Well, we don't know what they mean by darkness.
That's true.
Darkness coincides with shutdown. Darkness doesn't mean darkness is shut down.
It just shows how fake the whole thing was. Like we crossed the deadline of the shutdown and everything was supposed to go crazy at that point, supposedly, but literally nothing happened. So we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to talk about the left finally admitting what we've been saying for 4 years, that Biden was never the real fake president. And what else are we going to talk about? Trump is going to take over the world and he's going to start by taking back the Panama Canal. That'll be fun. There's been some interesting NSPM stuff. We might talk about Shillfest going down in Arizona right now a little bit.
Steve Bannon gave a hell of a stem winder at that event, though.
Yeah, Steve's great.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'm not a big fan of his machine gun stutter, but he obviously practiced a bunch and really delivered a good speech.
I can honestly say I haven't listened to a single thing that's come out of there. Seen a few pretty cringeworthy clips, though. I saw one of the what's the rapper's name? Bryson Gray. I saw he like got into a fist fight with somebody down there, like some other guy.
Oh fuck! I forgot his name. But they did some kind of fist fight in the middle of it, and it looked really cringe.
It could just be some kind of influencer battle royale down there, because wasn't like Laura Loomer fighting with Milo Yiannopoulos or something?
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be staged, right?
One of the biggest painful things for me.
Yeah, the fight ends, by the way, in this because the one guy grabs Bryson in the balls, apparently. Like, so the whole thing is literally gay. But anyway, sorry.
That is a bitch move.
Yeah.
Did he seriously do a nut grab during a fair fight?
I didn't see it. Doesn't look like it.
This sucks. What are we doing?
I don't know. Sorry. Patrick, you were saying something else.
I was just like, how is this a thing? And I'm not like saying that wasn't what are we doing, me being upset. Just like, what? How is this happening?
I don't know.
I loved Milo Yiannopoulos. I loved him. He was one of my first real heroes at the beginning of the info war, at the beginning of my presence in the info war. I think he's been part of the machine ever since the beginning.
I have no idea who he is. Like, I've heard of him, but I've never watched any of his content. No idea.
What do you mean by the machine, Patrick?
I don't know what I mean by the machine.
Like, he's definitely part of something.
Yeah.
He's definitely part of something. I interviewed him in 2016.
What was that like?
It was interesting. Milo's a very bright guy.
He's wonderful.
I had drinks with him a couple of times. So I hung out with him a little bit in 2016, and really interesting, very strange. Seems to have something entirely different going on off screen that you have no access to whatsoever.
Okay.
Loves to say things to attempt to shock people. You know, he kind of, I think it's like one of the ways that he like feels you out.
And, you know, the fact that he's like enemies with Laura Loomer probably puts him on the right side of things.
Well, that could be just fake too.
Probably. That's probably the best way to look at it.
He has been really great for a very long time. And his association with Nick Fuentes going over to visit Trump like that was freaking weird.
Oh, he was part of that?
Dude, he was with Kanye and Fuentes.
Hell?
He's a player.
Yeah.
And
I think he was working for Kanye for a while though.
Yeah. You know, and
so wasn't it? I think there's at least some possibility that Fuentes got shoehorned into that, and it didn't have to do with either of them, though, right?
I have no idea. There's no way to know. I think Fuentes is a creep. You need to know who Nick Fuentes is, because I think he's a perfect example of a dude who's put out there to make anybody who tries to defend white people as a group look like assholes. And I don't see any problem with defending white people as a group, but Nick Fuentes just comes off as a total douche at all times. Anyway, Milo is, Milo is part of that operation, whatever the hell was going on there. And it just left me feeling real shitty about him.
Okay. So Milo used to work for Kanye.
Briefly, very briefly.
The lady in Trump's Georgia RICO case that just brought forth that Brazilian whistleblower about Bill Barr, she was Kanye's publicist for a while.
I don't know anything about any Brazilian woman, and it has all the discussion about it has gone over my head.
Yeah, I mean, it's stupid. It's bullshit. But
so there was a publicist, Kanye's publicist. Is that what you said?
Yeah, she's
is
part
the
of
one
Trump's
who
RICO case.
was bringing this. Wait, she's being sued by Trump in Rico Grande, or she's part of the Fulton County Fonnie Willis thing.
She's part of the Fonnie Willis thing because I think allegedly she harassed. Who are the two black ladies that did the things down in Georgia, Patrick?
It's not Ruby Freeman and Wandria Shea. Yeah,
and her daughter, something else.
No, that was
Ruby
the daughter.
Freeman and Wandria Shea Moss.
Yep.
Yo mama back.
Yeah. But she like harassed them and like threatened them supposedly, but she's formerly Kanye West's publicist or something.
Okay.
So that's just sorry, that was just a weird connection because I was just talking about that this week.
That is very weird.
Yeah.
Why would a publicist on the level that would handle Kanye West be handling some random Brazilian whistleblower who seems like herself an op?
I don't know.
I mean, I spent a lot of time with publicists in Hollywood for many years, and unless Kanye has his own shop, which he totally might, to be fair, but if he's working with normal industry publicists, they're like serious professionals. It would be odd for them to be handling some strange political whistleblower op from Brazil.
Yeah, in 2018, she began working for Kanye West as a publicist and later director of operations. And Milo worked for Kanye West? Sorry, this is completely off topic from anything we were going to discuss tonight, but now I'm interested.
We need to give an interesting background about what we're talking about.
Well, we're not really talking about anything right now other than just kind of doing this random dig on this woman that I guess was a whistleblower, made claims against Bill Barr. And what was his name? John Armstrong Williams or something like that?
Yeah, Armstrong Williams. He's like a media guy, a gay media guy out of Washington, D.C. And He's allegedly got ties to Ben Carson. I don't know. The whole thing's, I don't buy any of it, but, and the reason I don't buy any of it, because she's got a history of lying and hasn't put forth any actual evidence yet. Like that, like just show me any evidence and then I'd be a little more open to it. But yeah, it's just a weird connection.
Just for the audience, what were the claims she made against Bill Barr?
Oh, that he was the one who masterminded the entire Fannie Willis case. Like just completely random. But
then he's definitely a white hat.
That's one way to look at it.
Well, yeah, you have
it's
to.
True.
That Patrick, that's exactly right. You have to include that part of the reversal. You can't just say, "Oh, he's terrible for bringing up the Fannie Willis case." The Fannie Willis case was a fake indictment that was blowing the whole thing up in their faces. And it probably, I don't know what difference it might have made materially between the different investigations and access to information based on whether it's involved in an investigation in Georgia versus involved in an investigation in Washington, D.C. I mean, I don't know if there are issues on that, but it seems like possible.
Yeah, I don't know. Don't know.
They had that
we'll
woman,
see if any more comes out.
They put the most nightmarish character at the center of that. You watched her testimony and you could not look away. I called her my candle in the wind. She was everything that our fever dreams of what a corrupt big city prosecutor would look like. And an entire meme culture started forming around her. It was amazing. She kept money in her house.
And I'm pretty sure Willis just got disqualified from that case just like yesterday or 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So that's interesting and notable. So we'll keep tabs on that maybe. But how about we get a quick word from one of our sponsors of tonight's show, and then we can talk about the whole Shutdown Showdown for a little while.
Great.
Unless there's anything else you guys want to.
Let's do it.
Totally derail the show with at the beginning. Okay, here we go. Mike Lindell, My Pillow. Some Christmas gift ideas for you last minute shoppers.
I'm excited to announce our Christmas extravaganza is finally here. Get this season's flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. They won't last long, so get them while you can. Our famous My Slippers, they haven't been on sale for over a year. Regularly $119.98, now only $59.98. Our 6-piece towel sets are back in stock with extremely limited quantities, only $29.98. With hundreds of MyPillow products, there's something for everyone on your Christmas list. Bathrobes, duvets, quilts, down comforters, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save on all MyPillow products. For example, flannel sheets for as low as $59.98, or our 6-piece towel sets, just $29.98. But that's not all. I'm extending our 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st of 2025. Plus, all orders over $75 or more ship absolutely free.
There you go. MyPillow.com, promo code Badlands. I do got to quick give a shout out to Micro Toolmaker. Gave us our first Rumble rant tonight, saying congratulations, John. $117 rant, by the way. So thank you very much for the generous rant. Congratulations, John. You're infamous now. I'll bet you have brought in many, many new normies to seek truth. Where we go one, we go all. We probably just scared them all away with how we opened this show, but I thought that was funny.
Well, we can bring them back by showing the intro to Benny Johnson's AmFest speech.
Yeah, we can talk about AmFest a little bit first before we get into the Showdown. No, let's do it. I want to find I gotta find it. So give me a second because I forgot to get it pulled up. Because you have the other link, right, where it shows
which one?
What he was trying to do or make fun of.
Oh yeah. No, I don't know that he was. I don't think that it was a conscious thing. You'll see it when I show you.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. And we played this on the Liberty Den last night, I believe, but we'll play it
okay.
Okay. You know something? So, I'm gonna speak in Benny's defense here about his entrance. us sitting here in the quiet of our own studios, we're not going to feel the electricity that's probably going through the air at Amp Fest. I bet you if I were in that audience and I didn't know that Benny was a friggin' ringworm, then I would probably be right there with him, shaking my booty.
Maybe we're gonna have to give you a grand firework laden intro at Gart and see how you.
Oh, I'll do it, man. You can count on me for that shit.
All right,
this thing.
This is what he's doing. Yeah.
Yeah, but this thing is actually cool. And Benny's looked nothing like this. Benny's looked nothing like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not saying he was doing that exactly. I'm saying that was definitely what was in his head, because that thing was turned into a meme. That video that we just watched.
Yeah,
it was like a massive viral meme.
Okay, so what we're seeing is a dude, Benny Johnson, who thinks he can just imitate the black guy that we just watched.
Yes.
But he hasn't got any training at all. And it's not just, you can't just randomly move like that. You have to learn it.
He's he's going to try to go viral by making himself a meme. So it's a meme that becomes an act in person that then hopefully becomes, on his behalf, a meme.
I'm okay with it.
It's a weird thing that we have in this world now.
Yeah. Well, he's really good at stealing content.
Yeah, so I was trying to. There's like a Trump AI version of that little Yachty intro, but I can't find it. So never mind.
Man, I was reading the comments. Kick Dreaming said it's called swag in all caps.
Oh my gosh, Kick Dreaming, kick me in the head, please.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I've never been to an Amfest or a TP USA thing, but I mean, it's obviously a much bigger scale than Guard. I really can't. Didn't you guys go to an event?
We went to CPAC.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, that's where serious people are.
We went to CPAC, but we had press passes, which means that we were treated kind of like bacteria. But I respected the hell out of that. They had their, expensive seats for the paid attendees, and then they had the press, who were basically stuck in some kind of gulag, and it was very funny.
Yeah.
And Chris and I mostly just enjoyed walking around and talking to people. We weren't really in the stage area at all.
Yeah. Well, they've crowned themselves the new mainstream media down there, and I don't know, I'm slightly concerned by that notion.
I guess we need a new set of celebrities, so we're just gonna make our own.
I'll be one of them if you want me.
Yeah, whatever. Fuck those guys. Fuck Benny Johnson mostly.
We're just jealous.
It's not jealousy. It's for me with I don't really have an opinion on many of those people. But Benny Johnson I do detest quite a bit. Actually, that's not true because I detest a few of those people, but
I detest most of them.
Yeah, a majority of them. But Benny Johnson in particular, because of this week, like it had been a while since he blatantly stole any of my content. And so I kind of forgot how much I hated him until this week. And then fucking A. Happened egregiously.
I know it. Hey, General Flynn had your back. So General Flynn had your back. Scott Adams had your back. Some dude named Stinchfield on the television had your back.
Yeah.
Good time.
Supposedly somebody said he's like a news guy who he used to be on was it Newsmax? And he's like apparently read all the drops and stuff.
I thought he was on Newsmax.
Grant Stinchfield, he was on OAN, I believe.
Oh,
or maybe it was Newsmax.
He was on Newsmax, but he got fired or something for some reason.
On Real America's Voice now.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I like that place. They actually have access to the television. They can be on TV.
Yeah, they're on Roku or are they on like cable? I was trying to figure that out because
they're on cable, I think. I would have to ask Amanda Head.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure.
Interesting. Anyway, let's talk about what happened this week with the shutdown. We talked about it a little bit on Wednesday. At that point, I think they were still on version 1 of the bill. They hadn't switched it out, or no, maybe they decided not to vote on version 1. Chris, you were on the show on Wednesday, weren't you?
Yeah, for a little bit.
Yeah, Thursday they came out with a version 2.
Yep.
Didn't really go anywhere. And then Friday, version 3 came out, and it cleared all the House, Senate, and then got to the president's desk. President Biden signed it, and we were only in a shutdown period for a few hours, whatever it was. We made it. But it's interesting that, there's no way that this didn't go down exactly how Trump wanted it to, in my opinion. Maybe the debt ceiling part of it, Trump actually did want that, or maybe he didn't. Maybe he didn't, and by wanting it, they went against it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know. It was interesting though the way it played out. They exposed themselves completely, and all the bullshit that they do with these bills and these last minute pushes to get these things through. Like, they create the urgency that is required for them to pass these things without anybody actually looking into what's in them. And they tried to do it again. It got exposed, and here we are. We got a quote unquote clean bill through. Yeah, and it's so stupid that an outgoing Congress, 13 days away from being replaced by the new Congress, is the one voting on this stuff. And then on top of that, 30 days away from Trump getting inaugurated. Like, the whole thing is such a joke.
The founders would have declared that all of this was null and void. I mean, we should be clear about that right up front.
Yeah.
Like, this is exactly the sort of quote unquote government that Thomas Jefferson told America to always make sure you overthrow. Like, the long train of usurpations is present before everyone's eyes at this point. We have a fake president pretending to sign, or we're being told that the president did sign this piece of legislation enacted by a bunch of members of Congress who can't prove their own legitimacy in office. And then all of this is to print and then appropriate fiat currency that only has value based on the blood, sweat, and tears of the American people continuing to work in that system.
How stupid is the debt ceiling concept anyway? Like, they created the first debt ceiling. What was it at? Like $1 trillion. And it's been raised up to like $36 trillion. Now, every time we get close to it, they raise it. What's the point of even having one anyway?
I would suggest that what they've done is create these narrative points that create immediate narrative crises, but are utterly meaningless because they know that they're going to get what they want and push it through anyway.
Crisis in a box. A color crisis, if you will. They get one every year and they use it. I don't really know if they got what they expected to get out of it this time. I really appreciate Donald Trump coming out and saying, do away with the fucking debt ceiling. This is so ridiculous. And we got to see who would be willing to follow the leader. And my Congressman Wesley Hunt did not. I think he said no. So let's see how that works out for him. I don't really know where Dan Crenshaw was on this, but he's a reliable scumbag. And then, of course, Chip Roy, who's, in my opinion, the worst of the worst in the Republican caucus.
Chip Roy?
Yeah. He's the worst one. He's the simp. He's the scumbag. He's a dude who has gone against the MAGA movement in every possible way. He works for the enemy. He has to be removed from office one way or the other.
How did he vote in terms of, or what were his comments in terms of the 2020 election?
Oh, everything's fine. How dare you?
Okay, then fuck that guy, yeah. Isn't it weird, though, that the founders never had to worry about government shutdowns? Like, government shutdowns didn't become a thing until 1980.
Damn.
How about that?
Well,
they also didn't want us to have a system where the country was permanently in debt, which means permanently controlled by a foreign occupation with residency here in a city that is not part of the country. It's so crazy what we're actually doing. And it just seems normal because we've all grown up with it and become accustomed to the television telling us it's normal, but it's not normal.
It's really not. It's really hard to fathom. And I don't know if I've ever actually like just sat down and thought about this, but I'm kind of just thinking about it right now. We are $36 trillion in debt. Like what kind of country can operate? No business can operate that way. Like no business can vote itself just more debt and more deficit and not making a profit or anything and can like expect to continue just existing. Like that's not a thing. But how do we justify our country doing that?
I don't know.
It's insane.
I kind of think it's cool. If I had
You would.
if I had a credit card that I could just run up to the limit and then tell the people who had to pay the bill that their limit just got increased, but I was the one who got to make all the spending decisions. Damn, that is a sweet deal. Who would voluntarily give that up?
Well, you're right. If you got to control how big your debt limit was and your spending, that's pretty awesome.
And the whole system has to go anyway. So why not go out with a bang?
That's actually not the worst point in the world. I mean, I have probably said this on here before, but it goes to the old adage where if you owe the bank $100,000, you have a problem. If you owe the bank $100 million, the bank has a problem. And the regime fiat bankers, that this information war, this multi-level 5th generational war has to be against. Otherwise, it's not worth fighting. If we owe them $37 trillion and we're at war against them and we win, we owe them $0.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And if we've got unlimited credit, which apparently we do, why aren't we buying hard assets and laughing about it?
Who says
because
we're not?
The Chinese are buying our hard assets so that we can get fiat dollars in return.
Of course.
That's so stupid. That's insane.
Yeah, it's almost like they're committing treason just right out in the open or something.
Looting the treasury right before they flee.
They're writing articles in the mainstream media about that, Patrick.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John, sorry.
Well, I'm going to say that's kind of what Trump did, though. Like with COVID on the way out the door, he kind of did the same thing. And then I fully expected that we would get like some sort of major economic crash or default or shutdown or something with Biden in office. I mean, there's still time. And Biden in office, you can put in quotes, but it doesn't appear that that's going to be the case now. I thought this might be it. We were close. Yeah. We actually did shut down for a little bit.
People are starting to talk about possibilities of the inauguration, of like not having an inauguration. I guess General Flynn actually said that to Alpha on his show the other night.
Yeah.
Somebody posted that on My Truth Social. And then, so that's definitely one of the weirdest things. And then there's more talk in the media now about Kamala Harris coming back because Joe Biden, they've just declared, obviously we're going to talk about that, but that Joe Biden's like not mentally there and hasn't been for a while. And it seems like they're pushing toward 25th Amendment narratives again.
And then President Kamala, how funny will this all get?
Yeah. Well, check this out. So talking about narratively too big to rig, if Kamala was going to be inserted at some point right now, and they could do it this way by declaring Joe, too old and whatever to handle these problems, who knows where this ends up going, what kind of story they try to sell. But if they were going to put her in now anyway, if the narrative could have worked to get her close in an election, maybe they would have done that. But this is a totally suitable backup option that still gets her in the same place. And then it's basically like, okay, well, take it from me. That's basically what we saw in Ukraine. Volodymyr Zelensky remaining in power, canceled the elections, banned the opposition political party and Christian churches and the rest of it. Now, I don't think any of that's like being told to us honestly, but we could see those storylines.
We certainly could. I mean, it's not as much about Kamala being in there inserted as it is preventing Trump from taking back over from a public perspective standpoint.
Yeah.
But I mean, we still have a couple thresholds to pass. We still have J6, January 3rd and J6, where they could pull some shit. Who knows? Who knows? Like there was okay, when it comes to the inauguration, I thought that was tied to the shutdown. Like when they were talking about there might not even be a shutdown, I thought it was or it might not even be an inauguration. It's because the government shut down. We don't have the funds for it. We can't do it. Whatever. That's what I thought they were saying.
I wonder if they thought maybe they could push the certification that way too. Is that the Congress wouldn't be in session at all if the government was shut down, right? Or no, they would have to be there because they'd be negotiating it. Or at least that's how it's gone in the past, hasn't it?
I don't know. But then how would that have worked? I mean, it doesn't matter because they got it through. But how would that have worked if like you have an old Congress, but you didn't get the bill done, so the new Congress comes in and you just like swap out a few players to vote on stuff?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna see if I can find the story on the inauguration thing though.
It would be good to see the quote unquote new Congress have to take a vote like this immediately with everyone watching this. And John, while you're looking for that, I said to John yesterday that the same way everyone went through that bill online this week, if everyone went through their state constitutions with the same attention, like if we went through one state every few days, like throughout a year or something, one a week, by the time that year was over, the entire political establishment would melt down completely.
If you went through the state's constitution, what do you mean specifically?
Each state's constitution.
Okay.
Because all of these things are laden with these loopholes, stuff that should never be law in the first place, but also never gets challenged, or it's too expensive to challenge all the way through the court process to judge its constitutionality. And then because it sticks around, then precedent and tradition are developed on top of it, and it's much harder to then turn over. But in state after state and in the country at large, we have entire bodies of law that are unconstitutional and that are totally immoral and should not exist. Stuff that's based only on precedent, based on statute, based on regulations, based on corrupted courts and the rest of it. Improperly ratified amendments. The entire thing, when you really start picking it apart, is just an absolute shit show of this awful patchwork of what our founding fathers would have found to be abominations.
I think it's a great idea. For me, it's more of a capacity issue of finding the time to do it. But I found time to go through a majority of that.
I just mean like there's some way to hive mind this, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. But then it's a matter of getting attention drawn to it. Like,
right.
What happened this week, everybody was talking about the bill. And so it happened to get picked up on and people went nuts over it. And that's how that stuff went viral. But if we're just talking about random states' constitutions, how do we get people to
President Musk could handle it.
President Musk. They are so
they push that all through the week. Yeah,
all week. That's an interesting storyline too. Like they're all of a sudden so upset. And I think I posted about this. They're so upset about a billionaire like swaying Congress, right, and swaying politics. But have they ever like thought for a second how much money's in lobbying, and where they actually literally pay government officials to do shit?
It's all ridiculous. I love the fact that we have a charismatic mega billionaire on our side one time out of a million.
Yeah.
You mean Bill Gates?
Yeah, that's the one.
But when you think of him as a defense contractor and part of whatever might be going on behind the scenes, it takes a little bit different, has a little bit different taste to it.
Sure does.
Yeah. But I did find this this article on the inauguration. We can read briefly or a couple parts of it.
From NBC News, here's how a shutdown could affect a new Congress and Trump's inauguration. President-elect Donald Trump won't be sworn in for another month, but a possible government shutdown is raising questions in Washington about how a funding lapse could affect the opening of the next Congress, the certification of Trump's election, and his inauguration. The short answer, probably not much. That's because the employees and functions that support the constitutional duties of the president and Congress, as well as life and property, are exempted from lapses in service.
That's all we really need to know. Like, whatever entities or services or whatever functions are exempt from lapses in service, that's probably the only government things we need. We can get rid of literally everything else.
Yeah, it's probably the only ones that are constitutional too.
Yeah, probably. That's what I'm saying.
Holy
get rid of the rest
shit,
of it.
man. It is such a mess. And the messed up part about it, and Patrick's mentioned this a few times, and there's a point there. It's not a point I like very much, but it's part of the real world, I guess. There are so many people employed by the federal government or employed by companies with contracts with the federal government. And it's in some way its own, well, not even in some way, it's a massive portion of our economy that can't just be brought immediately to a halt.
Why not?
Yeah, I guess that's the question.
Because like it's part of the economy built on the backs of the taxpayers. So
yep.
It's going to lower the tax bill. It's not, I don't think it'll affect the economy that much. Plus Elon Musk has said when they're going through this stuff that they'll offer, compensation for people when they get fired, and they'll have them find new jobs or whatever.
Yeah, and you need to put them somewhere. You can't have millions of people suddenly become unemployed and angry. It would be too disruptive. But Chris, remember when we were in DC during CPAC? You've got endurance, man. We walked like 5-10 miles or some shit.
I think it's like 8.
It was ridiculous how dead that town was.
Yeah.
People just aren't showing up to work. And that's what is being highlighted right now by Trump as he comes in. For years now, there's been a deal where nobody has to come in. They just take their stolen money and laugh at us.
It's basically a welfare state, because it's proven that when you work from home, for most people, when you're working at home, you don't work as hard. Like, you're not as productive. How many of these people are actually doing anything? And how many of them are even in a role that's like doing anything anyway? It's pointless. I'm not saying that for everybody. Like, there are some people. We had a lady at the last guard. I think she said she works at the DOD. Actually, I think in her statement, she said, like, yes, I know my position. We don't do anything or whatever. We're probably going to be one of the ones that get fired. I'm pretty sure she said something like that, but she was concerned about her income. And I totally get that. But there are other places these people can work.
Well, also, the flip side of all that is that they actually did shut down a huge portion of the country and cost people their jobs and their livelihoods and their families, and cause that wreckage in the home life. Yeah. And domestic abuse and child abuse and drug abuse and alcohol abuse.
Chris,
he did that in 2020.
I would argue that the television did that.
Well, fair enough. But the government shutdown, would that be more real?
I don't know. But I just remember thinking to myself, there was no government action that could hold up in court.
Yes, nothing that could hold up in court. And so people did just take it and roll over and say, yes, I guess it's fine. The government does have the power to deny me my rights in this way, so I accept it. Yes, that was the most groveling thing imaginable, and I hope that it is never repeated, although I'm not sure that we've reached that point.
I think we need another run. I do. Gosh. I want to see him try it again so we can see just how much we've learned, because the first time, the last COVID was the most disappointing, destructive of my faith in humanity event ever.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll get another pandemic like that they might try, but I don't think Trump's going to put up with any of that bullshit this time around. He doesn't need to win another election. So next time they do it, he can just be like, screw you guys. And the media is so much more relevant now. Like, I don't think they can pull it off again. The media in its current state, I don't think could get away with another fake pandemic.
Let's talk about one more thing with the Elon Musk thing before we switch. I don't know. It felt like we were coming to a switch. He is kind of, in a certain way, showing us what it looks like to have, first, more immediately direct democracy, to the extent that everybody is like chiming in with their involvement about what they want in this situation. Now, I'm not suggesting that the people actually got the fake Congress to cancel the passage of the fake bill that would be signed by the fake president to spend a bunch of fake money. Okay. But it's still an expression of that popular will. And at some point, you got to wonder if this is not, because I look at all these things from multiple sides, as I know we all do, but people are like, are you saying you hate Elon now? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I'm taking another view of this because you have to look out for all the possibilities. And I see it still as a possibility. You know, you've all know Harari. There's speeches that we can find him talking about how one day government decisions will just be made by AI. The machine will just make them for us. And, you know, we might have kind of a ritual where we go vote, which is our participation in the process. And we express, you know, our affinity for one brand over the other. But ultimately, we all know that it's just the machine making all the decisions.
That's now.
We are inching closer to that. Yeah. Well, that is a discussion totally worth having. And I would say that to a large extent, you're probably right. I don't know that the entire thing is dictated by AI, but man, it's possible that Donald Trump is accepting as much of that reality as he has to in his communications while trying to get people to see outside that, and that's actually what he's doing. And if that's the case, then people are really missing it while they are trying to figure out what Donald Trump really means about all the fake news.
His press conference where he took an hour's worth of questions.
Yes.
Man, it was so reminiscent of his 2017 press conferences, except now in 2024, we know that the vast majority, if not all of the things being discussed, are big fat psyops.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean Trump is calling them psyops. He's not. I don't know what's going on in Ukraine, but according to the narrative, entire cities have been leveled, except for Kiev, which has been left alone.
Well, there's been a few bombings lately.
Okay.
We've been told.
So we're told. Donald Trump made sure to simp for the polio vaccine. Holy shit. No one was ever cured with a polio vaccine. Just fun fact. And over and over and over again. Is there any escape from this empire of lies? Must our greatest standard bearers pay homage to this empire of lies? I suppose so. We're watching it happen.
I think what we saw this week was one big lie. Like you can't convince me that our government officials decided not to vote for this thing because public pressure on Twitter. Like that's not what happened.
No, we're being shown a lesson that our government really can work if we just have Donald Trump and then we have Elon and Vivek and all the Twitter bros running everything. Like just get the podcast bros, get Rogan and Tucker. They called themselves like the Super Friends and the Avengers. Trump was like, all right, fine. I guess I'm choosing these assholes. But from Trump's direction, things were normal. He'd just be like, oh yeah, you like that guy. Yeah, I think we're going to do good things. And everybody else is like, you know what we need to do is support Trump and applaud all these people. Like, okay, settle down. How about we just let Trump take the lead and not any of you retards that were voting for Ron DeSantis?
Well, that's okay. Good example of this is what what's his name? Cernovich just did like this week. Or maybe it was today. And should I say what happened before the show, Patrick?
Yeah.
Maybe you should say it.
All right. So I was getting pretty juiced because Cernovich was on Twitter being super based and red-pilled, like just dive bombing notorious scumbag to simp Representative Chip Roy of Texas. And he was just documenting the man's manifest and numerous crimes against the people of the United States. And I was digging it. And I went to John and Chris and I said, guys, I think we should cover what a great guy Cernovich is turning into. And then Chris sent me the video of just wear the fucking mask. Not because I'm afraid of coronavirus, but because I'm polite. People are freaking out. Just wear the fucking mask. And so I continued to simp. And I said, you know, he was just misguided. He just said, be polite, wear the fucking mask. Maybe under different circumstances, I might have said something like that. And that is when John Harold emptied his Cernovich file into my text messages. And I got a little dose of reality. That dude is That dude out Herod's Herod. I don't like Mike Cernovich.
Yeah. So what I see here is with Cernovich, he's trying to like ingratiate himself to the MAGA community, because Trump this week came out and he set the standard now that Chip Roy is evil and bad. And so this is Cernovich's way of like roping in some people. Like Patrick, you kind of got roped in for a second.
I turned into a simp.
Yeah, but you guys got to know who Cernovich is. I have some of these posts up if we want to read through them, Patrick. Some of these old ones.
Here we go. DeSantis is this is March 20th, 2023. DeSantis is being told to moderate his tone to appeal to supposed moderate voters, when in reality, Trump should have won 2020 easily. Multiple unforced errors cost him the election. 2015 showed what matters. Are DeSantis people not reading Scott Adams? Cernovich, January 22nd, 2021. I was instrumental in getting Trump elected in 2016, and without my involvement, he would have lost. Hence, it was on me when he did dumb stuff. But now Biden voters can carry this weight, and I'll be sure to add to it. Holy shit. That's the one that made my eyes bug out of my head. Cernovich, if you want record Republican voter turnout, support DeSantis. If you want record Democrat voter turnout, support Trump. And that was January 17th, 2023.
There's a few more.
This is May 29th, 2021. While I encourage people to vote, your other points are correct. Trump had power. He was too busy beefing with LeBron James on Twitter to learn how to use that power. So why should any of us care if he lost fairly or not? Leadership matters, and Trump failed.
Oh man, I have 5.
What a friggin' asswipe.
Yeah,
January 22nd, 2022. Amount. The many reasons I see it. I guess about, I don't know. Among the many reasons I see it as DeSantis' time is that every future election is going to be won and lost via lawfare. 2018 and ballot harvesting, and then 2020. You have to go pro. The landscape changed, and Trump is fighting the current war via tactics of the 2016 election.
And here, this one, because he called Trump a bitch, and I can't stand that.
All right, Donald Trump tweeted, "To all of those who have asked, I will not be going to the inauguration on January 20th. To which Cernovich says, "This is Trump's worst tweet by far. A Thor pathetic loser leaving the field. Diehard fans will pretend he didn't say it. To everyone else, this is the end. Going out like a little bitch."
Love how you stayed in character the whole time. But yeah, now he's going after Chip Roy and super base and red pilled Cernovich again.
The funny thing is that Chip Roy and all those people were just burnishing their reputations by going after Mike Johnson. And, you know, I'm not impressed by people being against government spending when the government is illegitimate. Like, you cannot pass a spending bill and send it to an illegitimate president and be like, "Please sign this, sir." And that's just not acceptable. And that's not that should not help their reputation. Destroying Mike Johnson. They should be opposing the government, not spending.
Yeah. I did find this one too, where he says what happened to Chip Roy. He used to be legit. So at some point, his turn on Chip Roy is relatively recent.
Wait, right. No, hang on. I think he might have been sarcastic in that tweet.
Hard to tell.
Which
I'm not going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
All right, this is October 4th, 2023. Never mind.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, again, back to the point, like living in forever psyops. What we saw this week was the story for whatever actually went down. Like, we had to be told the story, and maybe what the whole purpose of it was to expose the corrupt nature of these government spending bills. And we'll see how Trump does it differently, but there's just no way, no doubt in my mind that it went down with, like, Elon Musk put too much pressure on the politicians and they decided to cave and not, take their shekels like they do every one of these spending bills. Like, they don't give a shit. They've never given a shit about the people they're elected to represent, because they're not actually elected to represent those people.
Yep.
Our elections are fake. So this was it was a psyop. When you look at Elon Musk as a government contractor, like the largest DoD contractor, and potentially part of whatever plan is going on behind the scenes, he almost has to be at this point, owning the number one information warfare tool in existence. Like this was a story we were told to cover whatever action went down behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to end up the way it ended up from the get-go. We just had to get told the story in the meantime.
I was really thinking maybe this would be the real shutdown.
I was too. I thought we'd get one. Doesn't look like we're going to get one now.
No, it doesn't.
It's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, it is a bit of a bummer. I'm not a fan. I would have liked to have seen Trump get what he wants. He didn't. Chip Roy and Wesley Hunt and the rest of the super based and red-pilled Republicans stopped that from happening. The debt ceiling has always been a ridiculous gimmick that always gets raised. So why are we talking about it? I loved Trump's strategy, and now we're going to get the debt ceiling shoved down our throats, or the Republicans are going to get the debt ceiling shoved down their throats come June.
I wonder what his game theory, because if we didn't get the debt ceiling lifted like he said he wanted, I still imagine he didn't actually want it lifted in the first place. It wasn't on the table originally. I just don't understand that part of it. Because there's people on Twitter are saying, well, now he's not going to be able to implement his tax cuts because we can't borrow as much because the debt limit thing wasn't raised. I don't know if that's true. If you cut everything else that's not supposed to be there. But yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see how it plays out when he gets back in there, because we're gonna have another one of these discussions right away in like February or March is when that's all it goes to. It's February or March. So we're gonna have another one of these soon. And the media has kind of portrayed it as it's going to be a fight now because of how this one played out. So it should be interesting for sure.
Is anybody hearing that a United States FA-18 Super Hornet was shot down by a U.S. guided missile destroyer over the Red Sea?
Yeah, there's a lot of reporting on that. Friendly fire incident.
We accidentally shot down our own plane?
Yes, 2 U.S. Navy pilots eject safely over the Red Sea after fighter jet shot down an apparent friendly fire incident, according to CNN.
Oy vey.
I can show you the article. Why is how does something like this happen? I don't get it.
Well, first of all, we have to always remember that there's a good chance this didn't happen. And and at least they're going to at least get half the details wrong on the first round.
All right.
And then adjust them.
CENTCOM stressed it was not hostile fire.
Okay, here we go. You want to do this one?
Yeah, let's just read a little bit of it.
Right. 2 U.S. Navy pilots ejected safely after their fighter jet was shot down over the Red Sea on Saturday in an apparent friendly fire incident. U.S. Central Command said in a statement the pilots were recovered and one of the crew members sustained minor injuries according to initial assessments. The aircraft, an FA-18, was operating from the USS Harry S. Truman when it was mistakenly fired upon by the U.S. Gettysburg. CENTCOM said the USS Gettysburg, a Ticonderoga-class guided missile cruiser, is part of the Truman Carrier Strike Group, which entered the waters of the Middle East 1 week ago.
Question.
Investigation.
Hold on. Question. Didn't we just get like this huge narrative op release this week from Candace Owens about the United States carrier being shot at by Israel?
Yes, the USS Liberty. And it was a damn fine episode. And it was totally made to go viral by the algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to emphasize, she claims that her not titling it the USS Liberty is why it went viral, because the YouTube algorithm just couldn't catch it. For those of you who are not YouTube users, that is a deeply insulting lie to try to get anybody to swallow. And it is what makes me suspicious of Candace Owens. There's no way she doesn't know that that's a lie.
Well, I just wanted to, the reason I said that is because right off the bat, CENTCOM is allegedly stressing that it was not the result of hostile fire. because of that narrative op previously, I'm going to come out now and just say, I'm going to put $20 on Israel shot our planes down. That's what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
That's what the narrative's going to end up saying.
Yeah.
It's not just friendly fire, it's the friendliest fire from our greatest allies.
Yeah. We will send them money for what they did with these planes. We didn't want these planes anyway. We were hoping they would get shot down by Israel. But yeah, we don't have to read any more of this, but that's...
So, you know what's weird just with this story today, and they just found Kay Granger, the first woman to ever be elected to the House from Texas.
Oh, yeah.
And like the chair of the House Appropriations Committee for like a while, a powerful politician just was lost for 6 months. And she happens to be the woman who's responsible for like the F-35 boondoggle.
Yeah, we should read this story. This is insane.
It's insane.
And it's hilarious too.
Missing GOP Congresswoman Kay Granger found living in Texas assisted living facility for dementia patients. A still sitting Texas Congresswoman has been missing votes in Washington because she's been living in a $4,000 a month nursing home for the past 6 months. Kay Granger, 81, who was set to wind up a nearly 30-year career in the House in January, has been missing from her office for the past 6 months. The current longest-serving GOP representative had not been on record voting for or against anything since July. Carlos Turcios, a reporter for a local outlet, started to do some research by contacting her offices, which never once responded to calls going directly to voicemail. Granger's constituency office was also a complete ghost town upon a visit with no signs of anyone working there. Eventually, one of Granger's constituents suggested to the Dallas Express that the Congresswoman was living in an assisted living facility. Suggested. It's a very interesting choice of verb.
Mm-hmm.
She was reportedly living at a care home that specializes in memory loss after she'd been found wandering, lost, and confused in her district.
You know what? This is a great segue to pretty much the exact same story that was written in the Wall Street Journal the other day about Biden. Because, I mean, but that was more of a joke, but this is insane. But this is also insane because they just admitted that Biden is basically the same story. If you really think about it, it's basically the same story because they've had to do the same thing and protect and cover and hide Biden away for 4 years. They finally admitted to everything we've been saying about Biden since before day one.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone in the chat, by the way, just mentioned that apparently Granger was cited as having voted in November on something, which, okay, great. Now explain that.
Wait,
what?
What?
I think that Ash might have mentioned it too, but the claim is that a community note on Twitter corrected that story and said that Granger voted on something in 2024. So we can fact check that.
Her voting record does not exist anymore. It's undergoing routine maintenance.
See if maybe Grok has the answer for you.
Here we go. Let's see. When was this updated? December 22nd.
2024. Wow. Okay, so they just pulled this down.
They just pulled it down. See if we can go to
archive the archive.
Well, the archive's there. We got to find a way to go to. Is it the Wayback Machine that allows?
Web.archive.org.
Yeah, that's the one that allows clicking through links, I think.
All right, let's do it. All right, one snapshot. December 16th, 2024. Let's take a look. Is it not clicking?
Ash says
it takes a second.
She's checking, and I wonder if perhaps there's we could just check on Twitter for that community note, right?
We probably could, but this could be fun too. Oh, what's going on? My computer's like freezing up.
Ducky. Oi, what is this?
I don't know.
Wait, this is, wow. It's a pretty darn sophisticated archive that it gives you even the pop-ups.
Let's now switch the date. Okay, I'll go to Twitter and look.
Okay. And Kay Granger is the lady responsible for the F-35 boondoggle. Is that the super duper plane that turned out not to work right?
Yes, the one that Elon Musk continues repeating about which we've passed the age of the fighter jets.
Damn.
Looks like the last, according to Grok, last recorded vote June 28, 2024.
All right. So we're going to have to
I would think that archive page would give us what we're looking for.
Well, I think I can find. I just gotta remember which website it is. One of these websites has you can search. Is it Congress.gov? Yeah. What's her name? Kay Granger.
Kay Granger.
Is it possible to search community notes on Twitter?
Not sure.
I've never actually tried that.
That'd be a good
undo legislation.
So there's a tweet, I guess, from Kay Granger yesterday.
Oh, her voting record is now back up at house.gov.
It is?
Yepers. Check it out again. Just hit refresh.
So, okay, this is what the community note was. I think I found that. Kay Granger attended a public ceremony in Washington, D.C. on November 19th, 2024. Multiple photographs confirm her presence. So I guess this is attempting to refute the story about how she's been missing. She also tweeted a picture out yesterday in the morning, or obviously someone with her account did that.
No, never mind. It's undergoing routine maintenance, just like you said.
Yeah.
But it lets me go back. Okay. So I guess if you go to a certain page, it says error. And I can go to the archive and look for that. Hi guys. Isn't this fascinating?
Yeah, sorry for this portion. Here this is on govtrack.us. Number of missed votes between July and September of 2024. She missed 76.7% of the votes. That means she didn't miss them all.
Yeah.
She somehow voted on, what's that math there, Patrick?
What?
28 votes between July and September of this year.
Okay. What are you asking me?
Well, I'm just saying. So when did she get put in the home?
Supposedly June of, like what supposedly June.
Okay, so between July and September of this year, while she was supposedly in a dementia home, she still somehow voted on 28 bills in Congress.
Yeah, that makes no sense. Well, I mean, the upshot would be that somebody was voting on her behalf, and they do that anyway. They have vote by proxy in the House, don't they?
That is. Well, wait, didn't that end when Kevin McCarthy took over for Nancy Pelosi? I mean, in the context of the story, at least.
I do not know. But I am pulling up the pages from, oh, look at this. So I've got, all right, check this out. I've got votes from her. I've got votes from her in July of 2024. I'm putting it in the private chat for you to peruse. She was voting in July.
Just pull it up.
Okay, sure. Congresswoman, this is from archive.org. This This is page 3 of her votes. And so the Wayback Machine tells us she voted all of these votes. July 24th, 2024, she voted no, no, no. And then suddenly goes switches to not voting for pretty much everything, starting on July 24th, 2024.
I don't know, man. But it's the same thing. What was the old lady who died this year?
Dianne Feinstein.
Dianne Feinstein. Didn't she do the same thing where like she was voting on shit when she like was basically dying? And who's the other lady from Texas that this happened to?
Kay Bailey Hutchison?
No, there's the black lady.
The Congresswoman
Sheila Jackson Lee.
Sheila Jackson Lee.
Yep. Didn't she die of cancer this year? And she kind of had the same situation?
Perhaps.
They're just taking people right off the board.
Yeah, there must be something here, though, because why would they clear her website?
Exactly. Still, even the archived versions say not voting.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, we can move on from this. I do want to go through this Biden story. Patrick, do you want to plug Tulip Blooms now, or do you want to wait?
Yeah, let's play the video.
Oh, that's right. I do have a video.
I got it. I can play it.
Okay, go ahead.
If I scroll down far enough. You have a lot of videos, John. Here we go. Why don't we, real briefly, let's talk about your experiences with the products at Tulip Bloom. Tell me more.
Yeah, so I first of all, the castor oil blend. Yeah, so I have been using that ever since you said it was like natural Botox. So I have, these lines across here, but the one I have one here that has been there forever, and it's a chasm. And I had castor serum here, and so I started using it. This, like, what plastic surgeons call the 11s, it's not this massive, deep chasm anymore. And the lines on the top of my forehead are, much, much less noticeable. My skin is better than it's been in probably ever. And, the smell of the products are great. They're absolutely gorgeous. One of the things that I love about Tulip Blooms is they're gift ready. The products, when they come to your door, they are gift ready. They're wrapped beautifully. The scent profiles are amazing. I'm a huge fan.
Hey, this is from Shelly, and she says, I'm ordering every week because people are asking me about my skin. I keep giving it away. My neck looks 10 years younger. Tulipblooms.shop. Tulipblooms.shop. Get it for Christmas. We're going to get it to you in time. So check it out. Tulipblooms.shop. And don't forget to use promo code Badlands. That part about getting it to you in time for Christmas is no longer applicable. However, in order to get you this amazing product, because we've just got sunshine in a bottle here. We've got lightning in a bottle. We're doing an extra 15% off on the Castor Blend Serum and all other products at tulipblooms.shop. Use promo code Badlands for an extra 10%, adding it all the way up to 25% off, which expires Monday at midnight. This stuff is like magic. I can't believe how good it is, and the response has been amazing. Get it while you can. Tulipblooms.shop, promo code Badlands. Every time you use that promo code, 25% of that sale goes into an account that pays Badlanders' salaries. Tulipblooms.shop, promo code Badlands.
There was somebody who, sorry, I'm still stuck on, they did a tribute to, did she do this?
Did she do what?
Tribute to Anne-Marie Shovtax.
I don't know what to say about that.
From September 23rd, 2024.
Oh.
Miss Granger.
Honorable
Mr.
Kay
Speaker.
Granger, Monday, September 23rd, 2024. Yeah, that's Ms. Granger speaking in the House.
So strange. It's like there's a takedown going on of her in that Daily Mail article. I mean,
wait a second. All of her votes stopped on July 24th, 2024. And now, where did you find this, John?
This is on congress.gov from the September 23rd issue, volume 170, number 148 of the daily edition of the Congressional Record.
Are they able to enter these things into the record, or do they actually have to stand up?
Make sure everybody understands what John is showing us here. This is supposedly the transcript of Representative Kay Granger of Texas speaking on the floor of the House of Representatives on September 23rd, 2024, in a tribute to Anne Marie Chotvax or Chotvach. So if anything, you have found something that that contradicts the central narrative in a big, big way.
Yeah. I'm trying to see too if because sometimes C-SPAN has clips. They have one.
Yeah, for sure, dude. So wouldn't it stand to reason that we could find that speech on a good search engine, Yandex, perhaps?
Check this out. So this is from the Daily Mail article. Hold on one second. I want to just line this up so that Patrick can read it. Look at this part right here. It seems like there's a motivation at play to get an extra uniparty vote on board.
Wait, what are we doing? Oh,
Chris is sharing his screen. So this is, what's the source here, Chris?
This is from that Daily Mail article.
Okay.
This one.
Okay, got it. With a month remaining in her term and important votes still taking place in Washington daily, local officials are furious to discover her absence. This is insulting, by the way. Oh my God, I'm shocked. The lack of representation for Congressional District 12 is troubling, to say the least, said Tarrant County GOP Chair Beau French. I follow him on Twitter. At a time when extraordinarily important votes are happening, including debt ceiling, disaster relief, farm bills, and border issues, Kay Granger is nowhere to be found. The margin in Congress is razor thin, and the lack of a Republican vote representing CD12 disenfranchises 2 million people. We deserve better.
That sounds like bullshit.
Yeah, really does. The fact that Kay Granger is unable to leave her nursing home to participate in the most important congressional vote of the year suggests she was already in visible decline when she ran for re-election in 2022, said Rolando Garcia, a Republican committeeman in the district. A sad and humiliating way to end her political career. Sad that nobody cared enough to take away the keys before she reached this moment, and a sad commentary on the congressional gerontocracy. Means rule by old people. This woman and her staff presumably continue to take in their taxpayer-funded salaries. What's going on?
Weird op.
Weird op. But I mean, if she's indisposed for whatever reason and unable to vote, that is one uniparty Republican vote that's missing. That's not a MAGA vote that's missing, that Donald Trump is desperate to get in there so that she can protect whoever would be her replacement, can protect the American people from those evil Democrats in Congress. Donald Trump's not raising a stink about this. I've never heard him mention this once ever. And maybe he will, or maybe I missed it today or something, but it sounds like they're trying to get another rhino vote in the House.
Well, yeah, she announced her retirement, and she's going to be succeeded, or she's going to be replaced by this guy, Craig Goldman.
Mm-hmm.
So do they need that vote before January 3rd?
Gotta wonder. I mean, they just shoehorned Adam Schiff and some guy named Kim from New Jersey. And then is it Pete Ricketts from Nebraska? They just pushed all them into the Senate early.
Well, that with Schiff anyway, it was going to be that way the whole time. Like they announced in February of 24 that was the for Feinstein's seat. They were going to have two elections, and so
but they didn't have to then swear him into the Senate 3 weeks early.
Well, no, it was always, even if he would have lost that, whoever won would have been sworn in then. Like, there was always the plan for them to be sworn in early to finish out Feinstein's term and then Like that was in the works from
Wait a
literally
second.
February.
I'm confused. So LaFonsa Butler replaced Feinstein or whatever it is. And she was not standing for re-election. Schiff and Steve Garvey were in the campaign. Schiff, quote unquote, won a California election. It was always planned that they were going to enter him into the Senate early before the Senate term was out.
Yep. I can show you the link. Hold on.
No. I'll just take your word for it. I'm sure you've looked that up. I just hadn't heard it.
I got into this with I guess not, I didn't get into it, but Brian Cates was posting about this. Love Brian Cates, but he was posting about how there was some like big thing behind Schiff getting sworn in early. And I was like, this has always been the case. So I looked it up and it's true. So give me 1 second, I'll show you. Because I think a lot of people think this is the case. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here. Is this it? No matter what happens, no, that's not the right article. Hold on. I think it's worth showing people this.
Yeah, that's interesting.
No, what the heck? I had an article.
Chris, let's clarify. What is the thing we're hunting for here?
Right now?
Yes, right now.
Whether or not it was scheduled for a considerable length of time to swear Adam Schiff into the Senate earlier than the next class of senators, by and large, is being sworn in. So he is sworn in early to replace LaFonsa Butler, who replaced Dianne Feinstein. Then we have Kim in New Jersey being sworn in early. He was the guy who ran to replace Robert Menendez. And then I guess Pete Ricketts would be the guy who replaced that's little Ben Sass's seat. So maybe that's the common thread there, is that these were all senators who failed to finish their term. And so they're being sworn in for this on this date. But it seemed to me like it was so that they could be sworn in to vote on these things at the end of this term, because they still had things that they wanted to try to pass through with the fake president.
Hold on. I know
With some air of legitimacy.
Well, I'm not saying there's any air of legitimacy to it.
No, I know.
I think this might be the article. Oh, that's his house seat. Now, why is this so hard to find? I'll find it later. I want to go through this Biden article. Maybe we can find it at the end. I don't want to waste time now. Let's start reading through this, and I'll keep looking as we go. Patrick, can I send this to you and you share the screen and read through it?
Absolutely. Put it in the private chat.
That way I can keep digging on it.
Yeah, for sure. Good call. Okay, pulling it up right now. Wait, is this the right article? All right, the Wall Street Journal.
Yep. Share your screen too. Oh, you got it. There you go.
Oh, okay. How the White House functioned with a diminished Biden in charge. Aides kept meetings short and controlled access. Top advisors acted as go-betweens. Public interactions became more scripted. The administration denied Biden has declined. During the 2020 presidential primary, Jill Biden campaigned so extensively across Iowa that she held events in more counties than her husband, a fact that her press secretary at the time, Michael LaRosa, touted to a local reporter. His superior in the Biden campaign quickly chided him as the three rode in a minivan through the state's cornfields. Anthony Bernal, then a deputy campaign manager and chief of staff to Jill Biden, pressed LaRosa to contact the reporter again and play down any comparison in campaign appearances between Joe Biden, then 77, and his wife, who is 8 years his junior. Her energetic schedule only highlighted her husband's more plodding pace, LaRosa recalls being told. the message from Biden's team was clear. The more you talk her up, the more you make him look bad, La Rosa said. The small correction foreshadowed how Biden's closest aides and advisors would manage the limitations of the oldest president in U.S. history during his 4 years in office. To adapt the White House around the needs of a diminished leader, they told visitors to keep meetings focused. Interactions with senior Democratic lawmakers and some cabinet members, including powerful secretaries such as Defense's Lloyd Austin and Treasury's Janet Yellen, were infrequent or grew less frequent. Some legislative leaders had a hard time getting the president's ear at key moments, including ahead of the U.S.'s disastrous pullout from Afghanistan. Senior advisors were often put into roles that some administration officials and lawmakers thought Biden should occupy, with people such as National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, Senior Counselor Steve Ricchetti, and National Economic Council head Lael Brainerd, and her predecessor frequently in the position of being go-betweens for the president. Press aides who compiled packages of news clips for Biden were told by senior staff to exclude negative stories about the president. The president wasn't talking to his own pollsters, as surveys showed him trailing in the 2024 race. Presidents always have gatekeepers.
Can we pause for a second?
Yep.
It is absolutely stunning to me to think about a president receiving packages of news clippings to get his information.
Yeah, normally they have intelligence community presidential briefings, but
they just feed the same shit to the media too. Like, the information environment is totally polluted from all the places that a quote unquote President Biden could get information from. It's mind blowing to me.
And these are, do you think, Chris, they're literal clippings?
Well, I don't know if they're literal clippings. They could be video clips. It could be screenshots of stories, or, they prepare PDFs. I don't know how they do it, what format. Of course, I imagine all formats, they're trying to provide some comprehensive package of information. But if they're not going to put anything that's anti-Biden in there, where are they sourcing information about what's going on that could give him any sort of perspective on what's happening in the real world? I mean, it's mind-boggling.
And by the way, this whole article is the one that is basically admitting to, like I said earlier, everything about Biden that we said was true. That he's never been a real president. He's never been in control of anything. Mm-hmm. They're not going as far as we do, where there's like devolution stuff and he didn't win the election and all that stuff. But they're just talking about him as president, wasn't in control of anything, wasn't meeting with his cabinet, wasn't doing any of these things, was, dementia patient, whatever. And I did find the article real quick, by the way. This is from March of 2024. California's U.S. Senate seat is on the ballot twice because there was a special election in November for the remainder of it. It's so stupid. They're only in there for like a month. Like they could have technically had two separate candidates in there for a month. But yeah, there was a special election. I'll send this to you, Chris, so you can look at it.
But the question that I'm asking, though, specifically, is that's why they were sworn in
Yes.
December?
To finish out the term. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Stupid.
Yeah. But wait, so back to the Biden thing here, though. We're going to continue with this, right?
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Throughout his presidency, a small group of aides stuck close to Biden to assist him, especially when traveling or speaking to the public. They body him to such a high degree, a person who witnessed it said, adding that the hand-holding is unlike anything other recent presidents have had. The White House operated this way even as the president and his aides pressed forward with his re-election bid, which unraveled spectacularly after his halting performance in a June debate with Donald Trump made his mental acuity an insurmountable issue. Vice President Kamala Harris replaced him on the Democratic ticket and was decisively defeated by Trump in a shortened campaign, leaving Democrats to debate whether their chances were undercut by Biden's refusal to yield earlier. This account of how the White House functioned with an aging leader at the top of its organizational chart is based on interviews with nearly 50 people, including those who participated in or had direct knowledge of the operations. Many of those who criticized Biden's insularity said his system nonetheless kept his agenda on track. White House spokesman Andrew Bates said Biden earned the most accomplished record of any modern commander-in-chief and rebuilt the middle class because of his attention to policy details that impact millions of lives. Bates, who rejected the notion that Biden has declined, added that the president has often solicited opinions from outside experts, which has informed his policymaking. He said it is the job of senior White House staff to have high-level meetings regularly and that they were executing Biden's agenda at his direction. He also said that staff alerted the president to significant negative news stories. Bernal, via the White House press office, declined to comment.
Can we stop for a second? Because what they're doing here is insane. Like the way they're covering up and explaining, all these things. But did you guys see Chris's Saliza or whatever his name is and his apology video?
No.
Wait, apology video?
That scumbag? Apology?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Where he's talking about how the people in the news realized much earlier than they let on that something had been wrong with Biden.
Yeah. I mean, I could play it.
Oh, sorry. Did I just blow it for you?
No. So, I mean, spoiler alert a little bit, but that's fine.
Journalist, and I put myself here, you've got to, we should have been pushier. I don't want to speak for everyone. I should have not let the shame campaign to make you feel bad for asking the question get to me. Because it's now clear from both the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times piece that there was real deterioration even before. And by the way, all the reporting that we've seen since the June 27th debate, it's not just these two stories, that there was real and significant decline in Joe Biden and that it was being managed by the people around him. They were insulating him. They were keeping sort of the political world out and keeping him sort of bunkered in.
By the way, if you want some entertainment while he's saying this, just watch Patrick's reaction and watch him get more angry as the video goes on.
And that should have been something we knew more about. Now, you can argue, well, what does it matter? Biden eventually got out of the race. And it's not like he's sure, but he'd been the president for the last 4 years. So it's critically important. And we've learned, by the way, questions about presidential health, mental and physical health, whether it's Ronald Reagan or Kennedy or FDR. We've seen a lot of it. Trump, we've seen a lot of this where there is a lack of transparency. So we need to learn our lesson, I think. Donald Trump's going to come into office in his late 70s. We know very little about his medical history. I think we as journalists need to keep asking questions. Have you seen any signs of his mental or physical decline? Now, his aides may just say, no, he's great, 100%. But keep digging. If there are those signs, there will be the people who are worried about it. And we should have gotten to those people with Biden more and more frequently.
We should have gotten to those people.
Accurately represent.
Why can't they just say what's in front of people's eyes?
They were in on it
they
the whole time.
They didn't need an inside source. And he's like, yeah, the people in the administration, they were just giving us the runaround.
I mean, this is a tactic. Like,
yeah.
I mean, he's not only not admitting to being in on the entire cover up because they were, but then he's trying to use this as an excuse to like, well, we just clearly got to push harder in the next time for this next guy, Trump, like because he's the one with issues. And this is fucking bullshit.
He was also the guy that was right alongside Van Jones when he did that video last week talking about how Donald Trump's actually really smart. Chris Saliza was the guy he was in conversation with.
That's right.
Oh my Lord, dude.
I wonder if this is all this part of that same talent agency. We were talking about this a couple of weeks ago, but where all the major media figures are and part of the same operation. That's what this is. They're trying to preserve the same controlled opposition dynamic in the media. They are trying to restore the Fox versus MSNBC dynamic because they need both sides of that to be strong enough to keep on going. And so these guys are going to try to pull us in and make us think, oh, these are the good ones.
So do you think Tucker's going to interview Chris Saliza to save his career like Cuomo's?
Well, didn't he talk to Chris Cuomo? Didn't they have
yeah, that's right. That's what I just said. Like to
Oh,
just
you said that.
Chris
Oh, yeah,
Cuomo.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course. And you can see them doing that. Cenk Uygur is down at Showfest in Arizona. They're trying to make new stars out of the leftists.
That video is insane too.
We're going to unite. Isn't it what you guys all wanted to do is unify with everybody? Dude, they take advantage of the fact that so many people in MAGA still have Trump deranged people in their lives and around them. And it's easier for them to come together on this stuff through this period as everything is being funneled back into the middle. They allowed the Overton window to extend a little bit. They adjusted it over to the side and they're dumping it right back down the same funnel. It's just got a little curve on it and it'll be right back there in 4 years.
Watch this. This is how they react to Cenk Uygur, the guy who promoted bestiality, said he's okay with bestiality as long as it's the woman receiving from a horse. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what he said. And that's me paraphrasing. I'm not the one who originally said that. That is him. Fucking insane. Anyway, should I finish out the this video?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's like a minute left.
What was happening in the White House, and then let the public make up their own mind. But I think, at least for the first couple of years of his presidency, maybe the first 3 years, the image of him as a older but hale and hearty older man prevailed. And I'm not sure, based on these two stories, the Journal story and the Times story, I'll link to both below, but also just all the reporting we've seen since June 27th, since the debate. I'm not sure that was an accurate, in fact, I don't think at all that was an accurate depiction of his physical and mental state. Even if he had good days and bad days, well, he had bad days, and those bad days were pretty bad. And when you're the president of the United States, you don't get to have good days and bad days. You got to have a consistently good, in terms of your mental cognitive abilities, your physical abilities, you got to have good days. And so I think it's a lesson that we have to learn going forward, because again, Donald Trump will be the oldest person ever to hold office if he serves for 4 years. And I will be mindful of that, because again, asking those questions isn't a partisan thing. Asking those questions is a journalism thing. And I should have pushed harder.
Okay. I can't take it anymore.
Now he's fine.
7 seconds.
When he's in public campaign. And I did. Anyway, I'm always want to be as authentic, honest, and transparent with you as possible.
Fuck you.
Repeal the 8th Amendment for this guy. Okay. You do not hate these people enough.
No, we don't.
Okay. Here we go.
And the funny thing is, if they were pretending to be real journalists in the 2020 campaign, well, COVID, all that stuff, Russiagate. I mean, they had plenty of opportunities to pretend to be real journalists and ask the right questions, but they never did. But now that the media has admitted that they were wrong about Biden the whole time, now this one story he'll apologize for, but he's not going to apologize for anything else.
Before we move on, can I just ask one more question? All these Con Inc. type people that, we will occasionally mention, and some portion of the audience gets upset because we're supposed to have unity with these people or whatever. How many of these people have ever at any point accounted for what it means that they went along for years with Joe Biden receiving 81 million real lawful American votes, or the COVID narrative and the rest of it, or the vaccines, or the Ukraine war, or the Israel war, all this stuff that they always eventually come around on? There's never any accounting for all that happened when they weren't caught up to the story, when they weren't being the leading public edge on what's based in red pilled. Why have they never accounted for what it means about the United States of America that we just had 4 years with the television telling us a fake president was the most powerful man in the world? Like, when are they going to come to terms with that?
I don't know.
At some point, and they will come to terms with it when it is in their interest to come to terms with it.
Are you talking about our people in our audience who send mad emails about us?
No. I'm talking about the actual media figures.
Oh.
The people in our audience, I understand that they have some affinity for the television characters. Like, all good. I don't agree, but I'm not harping on that point. I'm concerned with these people because I believe that these people are lying to good people like that. And I don't like that. Okay. So I want to know why these people in particular don't ever say to their audience, man, you know, America's actually in pretty bad shape, because it turns out that Joe Biden, you know, he's not only an old corrupt pervert, he also didn't win the election. Whoops. I called him president for 4 years, but whoops.
Well, what would motivate them to ever come forward with any of that? Because
that's what I'm saying. But
not only were they a part of it,
gets there.
They were part of it, but there's also like, there's no reason to admit to your wrongdoing because there's never going to be any accountability, at least from what we see.
Right. So what does it mean, though, about their trustworthiness and what their motivations are if they never actually just come to terms with that? Because the truth is, if they did come to terms with it, if people just admit it in public, oh, hey, man, I got that one really, really wrong, and I actually feel bad about it, and blah, 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 whatever it was. I was responding to the incentives. I was afraid of losing my platform. I didn't know what I was going to do. You know, whatever it is, people would actually forgive them and be like, okay, well, at least now we're like playing on the right field here. You know, now please move forward with this better knowledge. I mean, dude, I was wrong about everything in my life up till like 2016. And then gradually and finally 2020, I was like, oh, damn, I was really wrong about a lot of things. I don't understand why we have to just be like, okay, well, these are the TV characters we'll watch now. I guess we were watching them before and they were wrong about everything and they lied on purpose and they've never, ever reconciled any of that. But hey, man, they are just still getting the best guests.
Yeah.
I like watching TV. It's fun. I like watching Tucker. I like watching Candace Owens.
Yeah.
She's a great television character, you know? Super based and red-pilled, pretty black chick. I like that. But yeah, they're working for people who see to it that the existing system stays in power.
Yep.
That's it right there.
That's it right there. Yeah, let's keep going through it, though. There's a few more interesting things. We probably don't have to read the entirety of it.
Good days and bad days. The president's slide has been hard to overlook, you fucking scumbags. While preparing last year for his interview with Robert K. Hur, the special counsel who investigated Biden's handling of classified documents, the president couldn't recall lines that his team discussed with him. At events, aides often repeated instructions to him, such as where to enter or exit a stage. You got to get Trump's impression of Biden exiting the stage. That would be obvious to the average person. Biden's team tapped campaign co-chairman Jeffrey Katzenberg, a Hollywood mogul, to find a voice coach to improve the president's fading warble.
That Robert Hur sentence is quite the admission, because if you remember around that time, Republicans in Congress were trying to get the video and the actual transcript, I think, of that interview released. And everybody's like fighting it, saying, oh, it's just the bullshit political, you know, attacks. It's all stupid. He did just great. You know, there's no issues. But now they're admitting to they were right about the whole thing.
What do you say? What do you do with these people?
The Jeffrey Katzenberg's an interesting mention there too, because he was the guy that they were going to have. There was this document that came out at some point right after Biden ducked out of the fake campaign. And there was a chance that Jeffrey Katzenberg was going to produce the Democrat National Convention, and they were going to have an open primary. What do they call it? Like a turbo primary or something like that. And he was going to be the producer of all that. It's just so weird, man, that they're like, yeah, we have television producers producing the sham January 6th committee. It's totally 100% a TV show, but you all have to pretend it's real. And then we're going to imprison people.
You know what this reminds me of? If you think back to February of 2021, Time Magazine or whatever Time came out with that article about how we didn't steal the election. We just fortified it for Biden. They admitted to everything they did in the 2020 election to steal it and all the bullshit. They're doing the same thing with this article, except it's the entirety of Joe Biden's presidency.
Yep.
Like, I've heard people talk about like there's a thing where they have to admit to all the things they do. They have to like tell you what they're doing because it's I don't even know what it is. It's
a satanic thing. It's
Yeah.
karma. They're witches or some shit. Their religion requires them to put it in our faces, and boy, do they.
Because that's literally what they're doing.
It's what they're doing. Here's that article, John, just so that people can have the visual on that.
Yeah, this
was such a
Devolution
crazy
as well.
article, like 6,000 words long, broke down everything. The street action they were intending to have after
450 groups.
Results.
You could, I think you could word search 400 or 450, the number, and they'll tell you how many people they had ready and waiting just based on a text message to take to the streets and protest.
Yep.
It's insane.
It's also a threat to Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah.
At that point,
Even though it came later, but Trump knew about all that stuff. There's supposedly some of the Zoom calls that took place during that time period, like the Zoom calls they admit to in that Time article, where they're planning the overthrow, like the color revolution of Donald Trump. Supposedly those are recorded somewhere, and I don't know if it's Giuliani or Steve Bannon that said that they're going to come out with those at some point. I don't know, but it hasn't happened yet.
Before I keep going, guys, make sure to hit that thumbs up. Let's be number 1 on the leaderboard. I'm not sure exactly how we benefit from being number 1, but it sure feels good.
It sounds nice to say too.
Yeah. And it sounds nice it's great to say it. Thank you, John.
I want to be able to keep saying we're the number 1 Saturday show on Rumble. And so far we've had the majority of Saturdays in 2024. So
nice.
You got to keep it that way.
Very nice. Biden, now 82, has long operated with a tight-knit inner circle of advisors. The protective culture inside the White House was intensified because Biden started his presidency at the height of the COVID pandemic. His staff took great care to prevent him from catching the virus by limiting in-person interactions with him. But the shell constructed for the pandemic was never fully taken down, and his advanced age hardened it. The structure was also designed to prevent Biden, an undisciplined public speaker throughout his half-century political career, from making gaffes or missteps that could damage his image, create political headaches, or upset the world order.
This next part is where they start to admit that he didn't actually run the country at any point. Like didn't meet with his cabinet, didn't do presidential things. That's where it gets fun.
The structure was also designed to prevent Biden. The system put Biden at an unusual remove from cabinet secretaries, the chairs of congressional committees, and other high-ranking officials. It also insulated him from the scrutiny of the American public.
Not that they were scrutinizing him ever, because Chris Cizillo just admitted they weren't.
And how do you scrutinize as part of the American public if the media is telling you that you are crazy all the time and that the president's actually doing the best job that any president has ever done? And, the thing in the background of this entire article is that they're essentially advertising that the administrative state runs itself. We are governed by communist bureaucracy. And people are like, oh, you can't say it's communist. It is communist. This is what communism is. There is a government of totally incompetent people just occasionally pushing their part of the agenda forward in whatever way their role demands. They can make up all the research that justifies what they're doing and that tells them after the fact that they did a good job. It's all insane.
100%.
It is. The strategies to protect Biden largely worked until June 27th, when Biden stood on an Atlanta debate stage with Trump, searching for words and unable to complete his thoughts on live television. Much of the Democratic establishment has accepted the White House line that Biden was able to take the fight to Trump, even in the face of direct evidence to the contrary.
That was with a week of practice too, wasn't it? Didn't he go away for a week to practice for the debate or prep?
Mm-hmm. Biden staffed with advisors since he became a senator at age 30. Holy shit. Came to the White House with a small team of fiercely loyal, long-serving aides who knew him and Washington so well that they could be particularly effective proxies. They didn't tolerate criticism of Biden's performance or broader dissent within the Democratic Party, especially when it came to the president's decision to run for a second term. Yet a sign that the bruising presidential schedule needed to be adjusted for Biden's advanced age had arisen early on in just the first few months of his term. Administration officials noticed that the president became tired if meetings went long and would make mistakes. They issued a directive to some powerful lawmakers and allies seeking one-on-one time. The exchanges would be short and focused, according to people who received the message directly from the White House aides. Ideally, the meetings would start later in the day since Biden has never been at his best first thing in the morning. Some of the people said his staff made these adjustments to limit potential missteps by Biden. The people said the president, known for long and rambling sessions at times, pushed in the opposite direction, wanting or just making more time. The White House denied that his schedule had been altered due to his age. If the president was having an off day, meetings could be scrapped altogether. On one such occasion in the spring of 2021, a national security official explained to another aide why a meeting needed to be rescheduled. He has good days and bad days, and today was a bad day, so we're going to address this tomorrow, the former aide recalled the official saying. While it isn't uncommon for politicians to want more time with the president than they get, some Democrats felt Biden was unusually hard to reach. That's what Representative Adam Smith of Washington found when he tried to share his concerns with the president ahead of the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan in 2021. Smith, a Democrat who then chaired the powerful House Armed Services Committee, was alarmed by what he viewed as overly optimistic comments from Biden as the administration assembled plans for the operation. I was begging them to set expectations low, said Smith, who had worked extensively on the issue and harbored concerns about how the withdrawal might go. He sought to talk to Biden directly to share his insights about the region, but couldn't get on the phone with him, Smith said. After the disastrous withdrawal, which left 13 U.S. service members and more than 170 Afghans dead, Smith made a critical comment to the Washington Post about the administration lacking a clear-eyed view of the U.S.-backed Ashraf Ghani government's durability. It was among comments that triggered an angry phone call from Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who ended up getting an earful from the frustrated chairman shortly after Smith got an apologetic call from Biden. It was the only phone call Biden made to Smith in his 4 years in office, Smith said.
Smith was the head of the House Armed Services Committee, and he only got one phone call from Biden, and it was an apology the entire 4 years. That is also pretty insane.
You know,
if that phone call even happened.
Jim Carrey doesn't like talking on the phone. What am I going to say?
His time's expensive.
I know.
The Biden White House. We don't have to read the whole thing. I mean, because a lot of this is the same, but I want to go down to where's the part at? Okay, go down to dealing with advisors. Let's start at that paragraph.
Interactions between Biden and many of his cabinet members were relatively infrequent and often tightly scripted. At least one cabinet member stopped requesting calls with the president because it was clear that such requests wouldn't be welcome, a former senior cabinet aide said. One top cabinet member met one-on-one with the president at most twice in the first year and rarely in small groups, another former senior cabinet aide said. Multiple former senior cabinet aides described a top-down dynamic in which the White House would issue decisions and expect cabinet agencies to carry them out rather than making cabinet secretaries active participants in the policymaking process. Some of them said it was hard for them to discern to what degree Biden was insulated because of his age versus his preference for a powerful inner circle.
That's it right there. The part I thought was interesting, like the top-down dynamic where they would get decisions. They weren't actively part of the decision making. And it comes down to like the full control debate, which we have all the time, like who's actually running things, who's making the decisions, all these things. But I thought that was interesting. Stuck out to me. Do you have anything to add, Chris, by the way? Because I want to skip down again.
No, let's keep going.
I want to skip down to where it says Defense Secretary Austin. It's underneath the picture of Janet Yellen.
Got it. Okay. Where is it?
It's like 4 paragraphs down.
Okay, there we are. Defense Secretary Austin also saw his close relationship with Biden grow more distant over the course of the administration, with Austin's regular access to Biden becoming increasingly rare in the past 2 years. People familiar with the relationship said. During the first half of the administration, Austin was one of the cabinet members who would regularly attend Biden's presidential daily briefing on a rotational basis each week. That briefing would be followed with a routine one-on-one in which Austin and Biden would meet personally behind closed doors. Officials familiar with these meetings said they helped cabinet members to understand the commander-in-chief's intentions directly instead of being filtered through others such as Sullivan, the national security advisor. But in the past 2 years, a period when the wars in Ukraine and Gaza demanded the president's attention, Austin's invitation to the briefing came less frequently, to the point where the one-on-one meeting was seldom scheduled. When the one-on-one meetings did take place, they were more typically virtual meetings, not in person. Still, Austin could always get an unscheduled meeting with the president if he needed it. Bates disputed that there was any decline in regular contact or attendance to presidential daily briefings, adding that Austin, quote, is a fixture in these briefings and they speak often. A Pentagon spokesman said Biden frequently called Austin on the phone for matters that varied from urgent to lower in priority. Biden has a close relationship with Secretary of State Blinken, whom he has known for decades, former administration officials said. Over 4 years, Biden held 9 full cabinet meetings, 3 in 2021, 2 in 2022, 3 in 2023, and just 1 this year. In their first terms, Obama held 19 and Trump held 25, according to data compiled by former CBS News correspondent Mark Knoller. Early in his vice presidency during the Obama administration, Biden sought to gather cabinet leaders once a week, saying in a speech that the synergy brought about by the regular meetings made the government more competent. The White House said Biden meets with smaller groups of his agency heads and that the contemporary work environment means full cabinet meetings can be fewer and further between. In the fall of 2023, Biden faced a major test when the special counsel, wanted to interview him. The president wanted to do it, and his top aides felt that his willingness to sit down with investigators set up a favorable contrast with Trump, who stonewalled the probe into why classified documents appeared at Mar-a-Lago, according to people familiar with the sessions.
Finish that part.
The prep sessions took about 3 hours a day for about a week ahead of the interview, according to a person familiar with the preparation. During these sessions, Biden's energy levels were up and down. He couldn't recall lines that his team had previously discussed with him, the person said. A White House official pushed back on the notion that Biden's age showed in prep, saying that the concerns that arose during those sessions were related to Biden's tendency to overshare. The actual interview didn't go well. Transcripts showed multiple blunders, including that Biden didn't initially recall that in prep sessions he had been shown his own handwritten memo arguing against a surge of troops in Afghanistan. The report, one of just a few lengthy interviews with Biden over the past 4 years, concluded with a recommendation that Biden not be prosecuted for having classified documents in his home because a jury was likely to view him as a sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory.
Okay, that's the one I want to kind of point to here, because there's some interesting, like, if you remember back to the media's portrayal of this. I have a clip here. It's only a minute long.
At her put in some of that stuff in this report. That had no place in that. There is no reason why this report had to be 300 pages. There is no reason why this fairly straightforward case had to be treated this way. And this was just like what James Comey did to Hillary Clinton when he supposedly cleared her of the use of classified information and then talked about how reckless and terrible she was. The job of prosecutors is to put up or shut up. If you have a case, bring your case. If you don't have a case, shut the hell up or say as little.
Do you think he's playing politics?
I absolutely do. Merrick Garland picked a Republican prosecutor, someone who worked for Donald Trump. I don't know why Merrick Garland chose him. Democrats seem to have this idea that if they pick Republicans for these tough jobs, they'll get some credit for it. It didn't work with James Comey, appointed by a Democrat. It didn't work with her. And I think this was, there was no case to be brought here. but Hur did his best to damage Biden politically.
Like there's hundreds of these like TV clips where they're saying that the whole Hur report was just it was a political hit job because they couldn't actually bring a crime against him. And that was the part they were like sticking out is, you know, we can't charge him because he's an elderly, well-meaning old man, and he wouldn't, you know, we wouldn't be able to get a conviction because he's lost his damn mind. And now they're admitting in this article that that's actually the case.
Yeah, I know. Hey, was that clip before or after that dude beat off on camera?
I was wondering if you would say something. It was after, I believe.
Of course it was, because that guy is a made man and can never lose his job.
It really does seem like that's what's going. How are so many of these people still public figures and still on the air? Like they can't replace them with anyone? Like there's not somebody better out there that they could just go to for this amazing legal analysis?
No, I think that he is just, dude, I think that guy's got to be bloodline or something.
Tubin.
If you guys want, we can go through the rest of this. But now it gets into like the campaign, and I was more so focused on left. Excuse me,
there's barely anything left. It's just the comment section.
I mean, the rest of this is mainly like the donors, the campaign, and stuff, and how like I was more so focused on his actual presidency, which we kind of went through.
Okay,
a majority of that right now.
The end there is kind of focused on Mike Donnellan, and I think that's Mike Benz had an extended bit about Donnellan in his discussion of Joe Biden as, you know, the political mover and shaker and all the guys around him doing the work of this Biden enterprise.
Yeah, that's under
it's
those.
Interesting that he's so prominent in this article. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Patrick, go. If you want to read that part, that might be relevant.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. One sec.
Here, I'll share my screen.
I've got it.
You can probably start at people close to the president about four.
Totally awesome. People close to the president said he relied on Mike Donnellan, one of Biden's core inner circle advisors. With a background in polling, Donnellan could sift through the information and present it to the president. Bates said that Biden stayed abreast of polling data. But this summer, Democratic insiders became alarmed by the way Biden described his own polling, publicly characterizing the race as a toss-up when polls released in the weeks after the disastrous June debate consistently showed Trump ahead. They worried he wasn't getting an unvarnished look at his standing in the race. Those fears intensified on July 11th when Biden's top advisors met behind closed doors with Democratic senators, where the advisors laid out a roadmap for Biden's victory. The message from the advisors was so disconnected from public polling, which showed Trump leading Biden nationally, that it left Democratic senators incredulous. It spurred Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer to speak to Biden directly, according to people familiar with the matter, hoping to pierce what the senators saw as a wall erected by Donnellan to shield Biden from bad information. Donnellan didn't respond to requests for comment.
That is interesting. Might as well finish it out. Almost there.
On July 13th, Biden held an uncomfortable call with a group of Democratic lawmakers called the New Democrat Coalition, aimed at reassuring them about his ability to stay in the race. The president told participants that polling showed he was doing fine. He became angry when challenged, according to lawmakers on the call. At one point, Biden looked up and abruptly told the group he had to go to church. Some lawmakers on the call believed someone behind the camera was shutting it down. Biden dropped out of the race 8 days later.
Why don't they have that story in there? Why hasn't the media really dug deep and found 50 people behind the scenes to tell us exactly what happened when Joe Biden got taken out of the fake presidential campaign?
You know, what I'm thinking of now, this that I've read through this part again. You remember how the story we're told of how this went down is Nancy Pelosi basically strong-armed Joe and like pulled the plug on him, and who knows exactly what she did, but she was responsible for him being the rug being pulled on him. And then Joe Biden's FU to them was like they thought they were going to have an open primary, but he came out and endorsed Kamala, and that's why Kamala got placed in there, and they all had to like join in. So I wonder, like, if in the immediate aftermath of that situation, Pelosi was almost saying things like, he's a Mount Rushmore type of president. We got to protect his legacy, and this is the best way to do it, and all these things. And I wonder if this is like their middle finger back to Joe Biden's legacy after him, if any of this is true at all. It could all be just total bullshit, which it likely is. But it seems like a payback of like, hey, fuck you for giving us Kamala. Here, we're going to torch your legacy now.
It seems to me like they're just trying to put this all out there and take all the air out of it while no one's really paying attention over the holiday week. Everyone can agree that Joe Biden's been old for a while. And then everyone just moves on, having the media already accounted for all this stuff.
And
I mean, look at the picture of him. It's unbelievable.
It did come out like in the middle of the government shutdown fiasco too. So
yeah, it's just a non-story, and like it's going to disappear. No one next week is going to pay attention to it. And as soon as we get back, there's going to be all sorts of new dramas that everyone's going to be obsessed with. And it's already baked into the cake that Biden's old. So now they just say, well, he was old for even longer than we thought.
I responded to you in the chat. I don't know what you're talking about there.
Oh, there was a great here. Hold on. I'll pull this up for you. I think you both will enjoy it if I can find it. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. No. Just right there.
Tubin.
Ha!
Did you see what she did with her meme coin?
No, yeah, what? Lost $100 million for people or something?
Yeah, she started like a Hawk Tua coin, and then like immediately upon launch, like 90 people in the inner circle just took the money and rug pulled everybody else. And she's probably going to go to jail.
She's an op.
For sure.
Why do you think that she's going to go to jail?
Well, I mean, because she stole money. Like, people were freaking out about it.
I would think that maybe some people around her might go to jail, but she seems like I don't know if honeypot's the right term for that, but she seems like she was the face of an op designed to rug pull that way. Yeah.
She could have, it depends what she knew. It depends how much money she got from it. Like, the whole thing was crazy though. It was like within 10 hours of it being released, they just like had a bunch of people buy in, and then all the key investors just took all the money.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Fucking ran. Yeah. Big rug pull. Anyway, how about we go through some rants?
I have them all pulled up, John.
Awesome, dude. Let's do it. I'm gonna check for boosts real quick. Okay. Actually,
$100. Janet B. Gut 67. Thank you so much. Very generous. Merry Christmas, John and all. I found John from Devolution, then Patrick reading it. I became a sponsor early on. Bohemian Prairie Alchemist.
Awesome.
Janet Gutierrez.
Thank you. We also have $150 boost, and it's the only boost we got, but it's from 1027JS.
Hey.
Merry Christmas. Thank you so much, Joe.
Yeah.
Generous boost.
Very generous. $10. Nobody 777. It requires many forms of offense and defense in this war. The ilk of Benny may just be another offensive to expose the mismanagement of truth. Well, I will give Benny definitely credit for being offensive. Thank you, Jim. $5. Patrick J17. Tax cuts are basically spending, so he needs the debt ceiling to be removed for the next 2 years.
Oh, you know what? We never talked about the Panama Canal.
Ah, damn.
Can we mention that quick?
I don't think anybody's stopping you.
Just because it's kind of fascinating. Here we go. I mean, it's kind of a long post, Patrick, but we should read this. I think. Trump on True Social posted this, and I haven't heard anybody bring anything up regarding the Panama Canal in this context, like ever.
Donald Trump on Twitter, and this is December 21st. This is today. Donald Trump on Truth Social, sorry. The Panama Canal is considered a vital national asset for the United States due to its critical role in America's economy and national security. A secure Panama Canal is crucial for U.S. commerce and rapid deployment of the Navy from the Atlantic to the Pacific, and drastically cuts shipping times to U.S. ports. The United States is the #1 user of the canal, with over 70% of all transits heading to or from U.S. ports. Considered one of the wonders of the modern world, the Panama Canal opened for business 110 years ago and was built at huge cost to the United States in lives and treasure. 38,000 American men died from infected mosquitoes in the jungles during construction. Teddy Roosevelt was president of the United States at the time of its building and understood the strength of naval power and trade. When President Jimmy Carter foolishly gave it away for $1 during his term in office, it was solely for Panama to manage, not China or anyone else. It was likewise not given for Panama to charge the United States, its Navy, and corporations doing business within our country exorbitant prices and rates of passage. Our Navy and commerce have been treated in a very unfair and injudicious way. The fees being charged by Panama are ridiculous, especially knowing the extraordinary generosity that has been bestowed on Panama by the U.S. This complete ripoff of our country will immediately stop.
One more.
The United States has a vested interest in the secure, efficient, and reliable operation of the Panama Canal, and that was always understood. We would and will never let it fall into the wrong hands. It was not given for the benefit of others, but merely as a token of cooperation with us and Panama. If the principles, both moral and legal, of this magnanimous gesture of giving are not followed, then we will demand that the Panama Canal be returned to us in full and without question. To the officials of Panama, please be guided accordingly. Jesus.
Isn't this interesting? And I wonder if this has to do anything with illegal immigration or what the motivation is here.
It could definitely be something with that.
I just take it at face value.
He just randomly wants the Panama Canal back?
No, he thinks that our shipping prices are ridiculously high because Panama's gotten greedy.
It could be.
Yeah. It's impossible to deny that. Maybe it's just that simple. And gosh, man, this sounds like something when you're talking about giving a canal away and then trying to take it back or shifts in control there. I have to think it's between one side and the other in a big picture sense, which means, in my parlance, good twin, evil twin, which would mean that this thing's been under regime control, which you could imagine for a long time, particularly if it's a point where shipping lanes are going through and we're talking about boats of illegal immigrants being shipped in from overseas. I could see that being something, the illegal immigration thing. And then obviously, whatever, it's a choke point on goods being transited, which means that it's one of the most valuable locations and pieces of infrastructure in the entire world. Right?
Yeah. Because I know he's talked about like South America and them sending their, they're emptying their insane asylums and prisons and sending them to the United States. I'm pretty sure he's directly called out South America, and the Panama Canal is between South America and Mexico, right? So like taking over ownership of that and cutting that could definitely cut off some of the illegal drug trade and the illegal immigration. I don't know. But it seems so random. I haven't heard anybody talk about the Panama Canal like ever. I never hear anybody talking about the Panama Canal, and all of a sudden Trump wants it.
It's been a while. I remember I used to hear more about Panama when I was a kid and just all those kind of Central American countries, because that was just past the age of when they would always be overthrown by the CIA. And Benton in the chat just said the Darien Gap is Panama.
For those wondering, here's the canal.
All right, let's see here.
That little guy right there. I'm going to look at Trump's Twitter archive too quick. See if he's ever said anything about the canal before this.
And guys, please hit that like button. Thanks so much. Make us #1.
He had one, looks like Truth Social post about the Panama Canal. Patrick, gonna read this?
Yep.
Oops.
So this is from September 13th, 2023. Such dishonesty at the failing New York Times. Recently, I did an interview with Tucker Carlson rather than the debate, which turned out to have more views at 265 million than any interview ever done. The debate had 11 million. Second was the famous Oprah interview of Michael Jackson, which did far less. During the interview, I talked about the Panama Canal and how we so stupidly sold it back to Panama for $1, very sarcastically mimicking crooked Joe Biden and how truly lost he is.
It's the only mention he's ever made on social media of the Panama Canal. So
it's kind of funny. It's like he just dropped the new expansion pack, and we'll sign up for that and download it, and then we'll play the Panama game for a little while.
Yeah. Interesting. Anyway, let's go back to the rants, man.
For sure. Let's see here. IB Fish, $5. Why do you have text messages on your screen from Carla Burton and others? It covers Patrick and anything you share on the screen. I have no idea what that means. Thank you very much.
We definitely don't have that. That's got to be on your screen.
It's like only the chat. They've got only the chat open, perhaps.
Yeah.
$20. B. Peterson, 1968. Just got my tickets for the inauguration. Hot damn and hooray. Celebrating in Minnesota. Merry Christmas, guys. Thanks for all you do. Barb. Thank you. $2. Angie K. Here. And then this is HTTP at Dallas Express exclusive. Where is Congresswoman Kay Granger? John, do you have that?
Yeah, we covered this whole
okay,
thing.
Gotcha.
So
thank you so much, Angie. $5. Melindy, U.S. person, eGads in the new CR. There's a link here. Thank you, Melindy. Holy crap.
I think that's the old.
Hey guys, $500. Faux show, yo. Merry Christmas, crew. Thank you so much for show, yo. What a great super chat. Super duper generous.
Wow.
And also crazy generous. Boom Diggity, $300. And Boom Diggity says, have yourselves a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. Make the Yuletide fake and gay. From now on, our troubles will be miles away. We pray. Boom Diggity. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And by the way, I think that what that person must have done, there's a feature on the Rumble interface where you can pop out the chat from the browser. And I think that must be what it is.
Quite possibly.
Must have accidentally hit that.
Well, it's probably our fault because it's our fault when the raids go through. Everybody yells at us.
Hey, do people like the raids or not like the raids?
Well, most people do, but there's always like, especially Monday night when you guys raid Basis Conspiracies, there's always like 3 people that are like, why the hell did you take me on this raid? Now I have to go back and I can't find the place I started it at, and like just complain like it's our fault.
Oh, I get it. So it's people who started our show late.
Yeah.
And we raid and they're in the middle of the show and they're like, fuck you. Okay, I get it.
Well, if you're in the chat too, I think you also like lose the chat you were just having.
Probably.
Okay. Well, I'm perfectly happy to stop raiding.
No, we like the raids.
We like the raids. Okay.
90% of people love the raids.
All right.
95% of people.
Gotcha. Okay. Going back to the super chats. $5. Q Fan Addict. For those who don't watch War Room Saturday, Bannon made a huge deal about Gates only, stating he would not return to Congress this year. Posse live chanted "Bring Gates back" throughout show, demanding him to be speaker. Thanks, Q Fan Addict. Ooh, and more from Q Fan Addict. $5. For those not watching AmFest, RAV, Real America's Voice, hosting many top speakers from Friday through Sunday, with Donald J. Trump making first speech to MAGA at Turning Point, AmFest, and War Room tomorrow morning on Real America's Voice. Many great speakers with Bannon and F-bombs. Nice. I'm a fan of Real America's Voice.
Yeah,
me too.
$100.
Except what's that douchebag's name who had me on a long time ago?
Oh God, Ed Henry. Right?
Ed Henry. That guy can fuck himself.
Yeah, he really can. $100, Jeff J Music. Thank you guys for all you do. I wrote a song, Right Against Wrong, and wrote a Badlands version of it. If anyone wants to check it out on Rumble or Truth, Jeff J Music, email me at pgunnels@gmail.com. I'm kind of backed up right now, but I will try to. Thank you so much for the very generous super chat, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, just post the link in my email. I'll grab it. $17, Cam Cooksey. What's up, Cam?
Okay.
Thank you to everyone at Badlands Media, everyone that's a part of the Badlands family, and most of all, Patel Patriots' mom for having him. Love all y'all. Thank you for the opportunity. Merry Christmas. Thank you so much, Cam.
Leave my mom out of this.
Liberty
Leave my mom out of this. But yeah, he was on the Liberty Den last night, and it was pretty fun. You guys should check it out if you haven't yet.
$5.
You have a black friend now.
Indeed. $5. EC was here. The Panama Canal has everything to do with the migrant invasion. The NGOs who are promoting the invasion operate out of the canal zone. Thank you very much. EC was here. And $100. You guys, thank you so much. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Lynn Yoda, Merry Christmas and thanks for all you do. That's quite a haul on Super Chats, thanks to a few very generous people. So thank you so much. And for everybody who donated to this effort via Super Chat or Badlands Boost.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, thank you very much, guys. So hit that thumbs up. And Wednesday, me and Bernie Brett are doing like at the Power Hour on Christmas. We're both gonna be around. We're not doing anything unless he's going through some parenting stuff. But other than that, we will be doing a show. So we'll see you guys on Wednesday.
And we have recorded Burning Bright and myself and Ghost of Bass Patrick Henry did an episode of Badlands Story Hour about Home Alone.
Yeah, because after the recording of that, Ghost was drinking some eggnog. He showed up to the Liberty Den, still drinking that eggnog. He got a little tuned up last night. It was pretty funny.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really funny, actually.
I guess I'm sad I missed that.
Yeah,
no, it's still on. It's still available.
Yeah, like you could fast forward about probably an hour into it and just watch Ghost, and you can just slowly see him deteriorating.
Did he talk about Home Alone?
Oh yeah, a little bit. And he interrupted Patrick like 6 times, and finally I was like, "Dude, stop fucking interrupting Patrick." I had to take him off screen for a little bit, put him in timeout. But it was hilarious. Anyway, yeah, hit the thumbs up already. We'll see you next time we see you.
Bye, guys.
Witness the motion picture event that is being called fucking Amazeballs.
Do you see the difference in the M there?
It's go time. 25 later on my.
You got a seriously weird ass way of looking at shit.
If you look at the waviness of the little flag that comes out of the R is wavy. The one in the first hump in the M is not wavy. It's just a pure arc. Does that make sense?
We want to warn our viewers that these are extremely graphic images.
Give me a second, dude. This is more autistic than I've ever been before.